This is Emerson Schwarzkopf welcoming you to a special podcast from Stone Update. In this broadcast, I'll be speaking to Valentin Tijares, Global Director of Product and R&D for the Cosentino Group at its headquarters in Cantoria, Spain. While that job title represents a broad spectrum of duties, he's been in product development at Cosentino for 16 years. He's also helped guide the servicing company's sustainability efforts. It's something the company takes seriously, as documented in the latest 240-page report on its progress in 2021. There's been plenty of publicity on Cosentino's HybriQ technology to use recycled materials in producing its silestone quartz surfaces. That's part of the conversation I had with Tijares recently, along with some other surprising projects at its Spanish production campus. We started by defining how Cosentino develops its strategies in sustainability. Sustainability really seems intrinsic with corporate management at Cosentino, and I noticed that in the chairman's report, especially when it talked about the executive commission with sustainability at the company. How does that commission plug into Cosentino's business decisions?
This is not about taking decisions on the fly. It's about a plan that we have for the long term, but it's embedded in all the decisions we take. In fact, we have a sustainability committee in which we deal with everything that has to do with sustainability projects. But in every decision that we take in our executive committee, in every investment that we have to make, we always have the perspective of sustainability. So it's not just that we have one part of the company taking care of that. It's something that permeates all the decisions taken in the company throughout the different committees. So this commission that we have for sustainability reports directly to the board of directors. That's where we have the alignment and where we said what we have to make in order to make not only something that is sustainable, but also it's aligned with the targets of the company, and also it financially makes sense. And we have to report every quarter to the board of directors how we are evolving according to the commitments that we have taken in this long-term plan.
The company's risk map has probably, let's say it's probably turned upside down and inside out in the past few years. How have sustainability efforts fared in future risk management plans?
Definitely, this is key for us. And for us, climate change is a big risk, especially because we are in a very dry area. Rain here is very scarce, and we depend a lot on water to produce. Both our main star products, Dekton and Sustainabillty, are very dependent on water. So in this sense, we are making very deep risk management in terms of water, because it's something that we are concerned about and try to tackle any problem that can arise as a consequence of the climate change.
Can you clarify the goal of the wastewater regeneration plant that began construction at the end of last year that was mentioned in the report? This kind of seems like it rolls right into what you're talking about.
Definitely. We have for a long-term policy, so we are not disposing any water. We are reusing it in one way or the other. We have a reuse of 99% of the water that we consume, but the fresh water that we use is coming from wells. And this project that about to start by the end of this year is about, instead of taking the water from wells, that we take this water from the surrounding villages, grey waters. Mm-hmm. So 100% of the water that we use is going to come from these sources. So no use of fresh water, and we at the same time take care of the problem of management of these grey waters that now are going to the rivers.
Okay, so essentially, will that give you enough to not take well water or fresh water at this point?
100%.
Okay, and when will that be finished?
Our plan for that is that by September, we are going to have the water up and running.
I know that photovoltaic plant construction being started last year. Is that finished, and what's that percentage as far as total energy consumed there?
It's finished, and believe it or not, Emerson, we are now waiting for permits. And that's for a long term, I guess that is the case in North America. So for the last 3 or 4 months, we are waiting for the permits to have it up and running. We expect it to happen anytime, so it should have happened already. Once that it is with all the permits, we will be producing 15% of the energy that we consume. The plan is to, and we already have started with the second stage, to double the solar power production. So we will be around 30% in 1 year from now.
Carbon reduction was 6% from 2019 to 2020 was noted in the report. And it says you plan to reduce each year by 5% per the goal in SGD 13. Is the company meeting or beating that 5% reduction since 2020?
We are, but the key thing here, Emerson, is that it's not something that happens linearly. We are very excited because one of the major contributors to our carbon footprint is the resin that we use in this resin is coming from fossil fuel origin. And what we are developing and we are starting to use in production in some of our colors is a resin that is coming from a bio origin that reduces the carbon footprint very significantly. So we expect that we are going to exceed this goal for this year and the year after, thanks to this change in the resin.
HybriQ is using more recycled alternative materials in port surface production. How will that change the percentage of raw materials coming from Spain locally, which is now at 48%?
Unfortunately, in the short term, we are not going to improve the amount of recycled raw materials coming out of Spain. And the reason why is because we have run so fast that the industry has not been able to come up with our demand. So almost all the recycled glass that we can source in Spain, we are already sourcing. And we have to source it somewhere else. Now, our goals in the short term are that we find some raw materials coming from origins as close as possible and develop the recyclers that we have around so they can provide us with a bigger amount of recycled raw materials.
Now, I also noticed that, well, of course, producing Dekton is going to be much more energy intensive than silestone. Can you tell me a little bit more about this thermal energy heat recovery for the kilns and how that's going to impact your natural gas use?
Sure. We are super concerned with natural gas, not only because of the carbon footprint, but as you can imagine with the price of natural gas. Here in Europe, it's been crazy. We used to pay like $30 per megawatt hour last year, and this number is now around 250. So imagine it's 8 times more expensive what it used to be. So it's for us, it's critical that we reduce the consume of gas. We are using cogeneration techniques to take the excess of heat that we have in the ovens, conducted to our atomizers and our drying machines. So we don't need to use new energy, but keep the produce there. And also we are investing a lot in making our ovens more efficient. So in 2021, we reduced the energy consumed in our ovens by 6.1%. And in 2022, we have reduced by 8.5%. So it's a continuous fight against energy consumption because it makes a lot of sense, not only from an environmental point of view, but also from an economic point of view.
Cosentino invested and spent $2 million in 2021 in North America concerning environmental assets control and management. What did that entail, and what are the plans here in the next few years for North America?
For us, our production footprint in North America is related with our production workshops, and there what we are improving is our waste management and our water management. So as much as possible, trying to reuse the water that we have to use in our processes, reuse the leftovers that we produce, and all the investments made in order to minimize these impacts that we have. It's been put in place, and we plan to keep on investing in that. So we reduce our carbon footprint as much as we can.
Was there anything else you did want to add to any of that?
Well, in fact, it's a pleasure for us to talk about this kind of initiatives. We feel that this is the way to go. We are not making that just because it makes sense from an environmental point of view, but also because it makes sense from an economic point of view. And we are seeing a bigger alignment day in, day out. When you are doing the right thing, it's not only that you are doing good for the planet, it's also that it's good for business too. And that's something that I would like to transmit to the rest of the industry, that it makes some sense.
If you'd like to know more about Cosentino and sustainability, check the transcript of this podcast for a link to Cosentino's sustainability report. This is Emerson Schwarzkopf reminding you to keep track of the hard surfaces industry at stoneupdate.com.